What up, Ho Biscuits? It's your girl Skitten, back at it again. First and foremost, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are staying safe and sanitized. My husband has something that he would like to show you.
Thank you. I perfectly rounded this cantaloupe so we can eat it. And I'm cutting into it to eat it.
Yeah, he's gouging out its guts.
Yeah.
And I have something to show you. Look at this giant muffin. Look how big it is. It's almost as big as my face. I got it from Costco. Costco was like, everything is big here, even our pastries. We have the biggest buns around.
How long have you been thinking about that?
I just came up with it just now.
That's
off the top of my head, bro.
Pretty good. You know what I've been holding in? Is this fact from this Frank video that we just watched, where he said most of your skin is water. And I was like, you could suck face for hydration.
Today we are here to watch some casual Geographic. Title of this video is How Humanity Gave This Animal the Middle Finger.
I'm trying to get like a hint about what animal this could possibly be.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Maybe we domesticated something and then abused it unintentionally.
Oh, probably.
It's not my fault, man, if I don't know what's happening.
It's dogs. He's definitely talking about freaking pugs.
You guys freaking breeded them so they couldn't breathe. Yeah, that's our fault. We did that.
I'm super excited to see what this video has in store for us. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Oh my God, what is that?
Pigeons.
Oh my God.
We did fuck up pigeons.
What is that?
What is that? Oh yeah, the pigeon.
You definitely know who this is and why he was an icon, but did you know there were at least two creatures that khaki animal Jesus was afraid of?
Okay.
One, hippos.
That makes sense.
No further explanation needed.
Yeah.
But also, parrots.
Huh?
Yeah. The same Steve Irwin that cuddled crocodiles, got a hickey from a python on live TV and apologized to the python, and did this, was the same man that experienced legitimate fear in the face of an overgrown parakeet.
What?
And the crazy part is, that has nothing to do with this video.
Oh, okay,
I really
thanks.
only brought that up to make my biggest fear sound less ridiculous.
Okay.
Because out of all the animals in the world, I've historically only been afraid of one.
Okay.
I've held 8-foot pythons when I was 6. I've had no problems with the spiders in my house. I've always had a soft spot for sharks, yet the one animal that could stop me dead in my tracks. Matter of fact, just guess.
Chimpanzee.
What do y'all think I'm about to say?
Scorpion. No, that's not an animal. I was like scorpion.
It's an arachnid.
I can't think.
Polar bears.
I was gonna say a bear.
Yeah.
Some sort of bear. Yeah.
Here's an ad while you grapple with that. Pigeons. It's always been
All right,
pigeons.
buddy.
I could never fully explain it, but as early as I can remember, these bum doves put the fear of Dante's Inferno in every fiber of my vessel. There's two stories that sum up my feelings towards pigeons. As a kid, I could vaguely remember crossing the street with my dad when one of the spawns of avian antichrist popped out from under the car like a Five Nights at Freddy's jump scare. And from the way my dad likes to tell this story, apparently I recoiled so bad that I jumped back and nearly got turned into a speed bump by a passing van.
I did that with a cricket once.
Yes, you did. I couldn't wait. I'm glad you paused it. Do you want to handle it or?
So, Chavezz and I.
Walking down the street, completely fine. Nothing is wrong at all. A cricket shows up, doing what crickets do, fly the wrong direction towards danger normally. I mean, it did beeline for your face.
I was gonna say, it flew at me. It assaulted me.
She waited right until the car was coming her way to leap in front of it.
What are you talking about? I could not help when the cricket leapt at
You
me.
said 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Jump! You actually almost got pancaked.
And I didn't jump. I skittered.
That's
really.
a good word,
I
yeah.
skittered
Yeah.
into the street.
I had to literally snatch her out of the road. And to me, at the first, I didn't see the bug.
So I just
So she just ran.
Yeah.
We're literally just walking calmly. She just runs off to the side.
I was just like, forget it. I can't do this anymore.
And that's not the worst part. At the time, she looked at me like I did something wrong.
Because you were looking at me like I was crazy. And you yelled at me, I think.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Why are you yelling at
That's
me?
the correct thing to do.
My life was at risk.
Well, explain it. This is the perfect time to yell. If it's literally worth running into the street.
It was a bug.
Not worth it. Let the bug touch you a little bit,
No.
or you get squished like a bug.
I would rather be squished.
Apparently.
There is an alternate universe where my irrational fear of pigeons cost my folks a dependent and had me heaven sent. So this is really more exposure therapy than an actual video, and the first step is understanding. There are a lot more
Look how
types of pigeons than my
cute.
subconscious could ever curse me with.
That looked like a demon.
It It's so cute.
Look at that.
Okay, no. That one.
He has the eye of Sauron.
He a little crazy looking. Okay, but then look at his cousin.
Oh man.
There's over 350 pallets of pigeons populating the planet. You got the Victoria crowned pigeon,
Look.
the biggest bird on the roster whose headdress got it named after royalty. Then there's the Nicobar, the closest thing to a present-day dodo,
That's
and
cool.
definitely the hypebeast flexor of the
Yeah,
family.
that's dope.
Can't forget the Karuru, the New Zealand variant, famous for being a crippling alcoholic. As in, they'll get so hammered off fermented fruit that they legit forget how to fly. And you've probably heard the phrase turtle dove, especially this time of year. Well, today I found out that I apparently had no clue what they look like, or that they originated from the Middle East. A hop, skip, and an 8-hour flight to the Philippines, and you'll find a Luzon bleeding heart pigeon, named
I've heard of
for
those.
obvious reasons. You got the silvery wood, the maroon pigeon, and the purple winged dove, all of which are in danger of being discontinued.
Wow.
And then you got the pigeons humans bred like
Hell
dogs,
yeah.
which would easily make this the pug of poultry. It's like a pigeon police sketch done by a kindergartner on Adderall with no prior knowledge of anything bird.
Yeah.
There's hundreds of breeds of pigeons, and the English pouter might just be the nastiest work of all.
Yeah.
Although the English carrier might just be a close second,
Is
because
that what it
honestly,
looks
what in
like?
the
Is that what it looks
It
like?
has brains on its face.
Is that what it looks like? Really? Or is this like an AI
right?
rendering?
Is this like an AI? I don't know.
Wow.
What even is this? What was the goal if this was the outcome?
Right.
All those pigeon remixes go back to the OG, the rock dove, aka the main mugshot that comes up when you Google pigeon. And this is where I stopped hating and started learning. For example, the rock dove was originally only found here. Well, actually here in the dark red.
Got it.
That's right, any place outside this red is a place people uber the scourge of my soul. That includes what might as well be the pigeon capital of the world, New York City.
Also, apparently, our neighbor's house.
She feeds them.
Every time I think about getting rid of pigeons,
Okay.
I think about your mother.
Oh, man. She comes from a different time and
What
a
did she
different
say?
place.
She said she was gonna mix milk and antifreeze or
Mhm.
something and put
And
it
the dog food,
outside.
because they kept eating the dog food.
Yes.
She's like, I'm going to take the dogs inside, put some antifreeze and milk in there, and watch them pop.
And I said, "Excuse me?"
I was like,
She
don't,
said, "Yeah, they'll pop."
don't do that.
And I
Do
looked
not,
at my
it is very
husband.
illegal. Do not do that. Don't do it.
But if you really don't want pigeons, just put one of those fake owls around. Or utilize what this park in Indianapolis uses,
Okay.
which is some weird sound frequency.
Oh, yeah. We can't even hear it.
Yeah.
Get rid of the birds. Yeah,
Yep.
that works too. Or like what they do with the geese across the street and set off fireworks at 3 a.m. We love it. They do 10 per park, and there's like 7 soccer fields back there.
So many fireworks. It's so
Fucking
terrifying.
Dick. I drive by and just glare at them. Like, I hope you just feel me glaring at you.
Apparently, pigeons first touched American soil in the early 1600s via Europeans.
Of course.
That means the flying city merchant is more natural to the Sahara Desert than to the streets
Yeah.
of Manhattan. Which brings me to half the reason I'm making this video.
What's the one thing you spend way too much time thinking about?
I think all the time about how we domesticated pigeons and then we decided we don't want to use them anymore for like messages. So they are completely reliant on humans. Have you ever seen like a nest of a pigeon?
No, and I didn't know we domesticated them either.
Yeah, their like nests are like 3 twigs and like the egg is just on the cold ground. So
Because they don't know how to build a nest because we messed them up?
yeah,
I did not know how to take this revelation, and after looking into it, she's half right. Pigeon nest is a meme as old as time. This is really something only an animal with no access to birth control could come up with. It's heavy
Oh
on
my
them
God.
kids, but before they're even born. At this point, it's like they're trying so hard not to try that it would literally take less effort to try. The thing is, they weren't named rock dove for nothing. In the wild, they'd normally raise their aesthetically challenged children on cliff ledges
Yeah.
and crevices, which ended up being not that far off from where they shack up now. And as long as the ground's flat and the egg doesn't roll away to become a late termination and an early onset omelet, this is really all
Right.
they need. Minimalism for the win. But the other point she made about us pretty much abandoning them, turns out it's
Yeah.
pretty accurate.
I knew
which
about
actually
that
brings me
part.
to my second story. So I had spent the day walking around New York with my mom and was understandably starving. So hungry that we decided to get food from a street side meat vendor. The cardinal sin of the city, but we didn't know any better. The food was immediately off, but let's be honest, not enough for me
I'm
to
so
stop.
sad
I remember the
already.
meat tasting gamey and
I'm so
fatty
sad.
and had this really strong aftertaste that I'd
Shut
never
up.
experienced before. It wasn't until I was 2/3 done that I noticed a small cage halfway tucked under the
No.
stand. A
Don't
small
you keep
cage with
talking.
maybe a dozen pigeons
No.
squirming around. It was at this moment I realized I was sold a chicken leg lie. Your boy just ate some pigeon wings. Now that story is almost completely made up, but people.
It doesn't sound like it would make sense because they just aren't that kind of bird.
They're not meaty enough.
Yeah, like the kind of chickens that we grow for that we breed for that, or to eat. Yes. They are useless other than for breeding for eating. Yeah. Most of them don't even get sunlight. Yeah. Like they just sit in a cage all day and grow fat, and then we eat them.
You didn't have to tell
me.
They're
not like the exercise pigeons. Those are like outdoor pigeons.
Right. That story is also why my husband refuses to let me eat street hot dogs. You don't let me eat street food. It's just a hot dog.
How do they dog hot?
Like how much? Okay.
Are you kidding me?
Think about what a hot dog is, right?
It's already gross.
How much worse can you really make that hot dog?
Letting it persist with other hot dogs at a mild temperature to grow bacteria. Then get transported around the city until they sell them.
When we were in Miami, there was a guy walking around
with beach hot dogs.
Selling beach hot dogs, and I wanted one so badly.
What are you doing? It's the same guy that opened up his vest for vapes. Yeah. It's like vapes on one side, glizzy. Beach hot dogs.
He said beach glizzy. I was like, I will take a beach glizzy. My husband was like, put your hand down.
Picture like, put your hand in the damn beach glizzy.
Anyway, I'm just saying, if I were to eat street meat and it turned out to be a pigeon, I would accept that as a consequence.
What is wrong with you?
The thing is, pigeons are regularly eaten by people in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Squab is a name for an immature prepubescent domestic pigeon, and it's considered a delicacy depending on where you're standing.
Yes.
Which shouldn't even really be a surprise because one thing about pigeons, they get violated by the entire food chain.
Oh, okay.
I've seen with my eyes pigeons get absolutely bodied by a street savvy school of little. They somehow manage to find ways to take L's from turtles. In fact, there's a catfish that specializes in murking an animal that literally got gift wrapped the ability to fly. And to add insult to injury, the fish is virtually blind. How do you fumble that bad? Pretty much the entire cast of Over the Hedge plays population control for pigeons, and we've all seen how pelicans conduct themselves in pigeon presence. And humans were no different, and food was one of the many reasons pigeons were added to the American census. Another reason was to employ them as messengers before iPhone became a thing. But another reason was for pets. There was a time where owning a pack of pigeons wasn't just normal, it was a sign of status. If you had pigeons on your property, it meant you were probably doing well in life. Akbar the Great of the Mughal Empire had not one, but 2,000 pigeons as wow, that is a comma. Make that 20,000 pet pigeons. But in the time since, hoarding pigeons went from a flex to something that guarantees you dirty looks on the subway. And that's thanks to one of the most egregious gaslight campaigns you've ever seen. In June 1966, New York Parks Commissioner Thomas Hoving verbally eviscerated pigeons, blaming them for spreading filth and disease, and used a term you've definitely heard of, rats with wings. And just like that, the pigeon's reputation went straight to hell. No return trip. A couple things that are interesting though. In the same article, Mr. Hoving also blamed the homeless and homosexuals for bringing property value down.
Nice. Let's read this. Okay.
Condemned the vandalizing and defiling of Bryant Park. Hoving explicitly singled out homosexuals,
in quotes,
who he said were pulling faces at other park patrons, and pointed out the extraordinary number of winos congregating in the green spaces. The article described a public park in crisis, hopelessly overrun by homeless people and shamelessly misused as a garbage dump. This was followed by a subheading, and then there are the pigeons. Hoving declared this heretofore blameless bird species to be New York's most persistent vandal. The pigeon eats our ivy, our grass, our flowers, and is a health threat. But everyone seems to want to feed them. It's impossible to stop the pigeon feeders. Damn.
It sounds like he got a boring ass park. What else is the park for if not for being drunk and feeding pigeons?
And being gay.
Being gay. Where do you want the gays to go if not a park?
That's messed up, though. That is messed up.
So he called them rat with wings, and there's a Woody Allen film that
fuck that guy.
Yeah, that also had a part of it. So not the most reputable sources for information.
So you're telling me that it's all propaganda? Everything is propaganda.
Everything in life.
Yeah.
He also became the commissioner January 16th, 1966, and resigned March 15th of the next year. His actual term was just over a year, but the slander he tagged the Metro Tweety with was permanent.
Damn.
Then Woody Allen dogpiled on them, and humanity has hated pigeons ever since.
Oh, it's not pretty at all. They're rats with wings.
It's kind of like how Mark Twain roasted coyotes so flagrantly, not only did it single-handedly earn them smoke from the public, it was directly responsible for the luckless lunatic. That's not a throwaway joke either. Look up what Wile E. Coyote was based on. It's actually wild. But thanks to these 3 words, the bird that was more common in royalty than marrying your cousin got typecast as a flying version of the animal whose hygiene allegedly turned half the population into a hashtag.
That's messed up.
I gotta say allegedly because new evidence suggests that rats weren't even responsible for the plague to begin
It was
with.
cats.
Pigeons got lied on too because they're nowhere near the disease risk we label them as, and I legitimately didn't know that before researching.
But they do be
They
dirty.
can carry disease, but because of their immune system, it's actually rare for them to transmit them to people.
Right.
I know. I couldn't believe it either. It also turns out the glorified gutter tweety is actually resistant to bird flu. Now they still can catch you slipping, and usually the problems come from their lesser half.
Thanks.
When pigeons drop deuces in one spot,
That's
it can dry up and
insane.
eventually turn into dust. Breathe enough of that doo-doo dust and you can end up with a nasty infection known as bird handler's lung. But even
the
then,
fuck?
it takes a lot, like on some you clean bird as a hobby for you to be exposed enough to be down bad. So yeah, pigeons carry diseases, but no more than any other animal. I mean, by that logic, humans carry disease, but we're still out here raw dogging handshakes.
Right.
Dogs and
Not us though. Don't touch me.
Man, I just went out the other day and I shook so many hands. And then at a certain point, I just stopped touching things. Like I stopped opening doors for people. I was like, I could feel people's hands on my hands.
My husband and I are definitely the like, oh, so nice to meet you. Hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
We are those people. Not to be rude, right? But like,
It was funny when I just shook a guy's hand and then like I went over and I used a bunch of hand sanitizer. I was slathered. Right.
Yeah.
I'm sticky at this point. And then like I go to walk out and the guy goes, "Are you feeling okay?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm coming down with something." And everybody just trained straight to the hand sanitizer. I'm like, yeah,
you son of a bitch.
you were judging me.
You touched me.
He's out here shaking hands. He's sick already.
Oh man.
I know.
Oh man.
He's too big for us to talk shit though, so we just let it go.
I guess.
dogs can carry disease, yet I still see people tongue kissing them.
That's disgusting.
Deer are walking Airbnbs for ticks peddling Lyme disease.
That's true.
And cats done infected half the people watching this. Yet pigeons are the ones that got tattooed as rodents with frequent flyer miles. Between 1941 and 2003, there have been 176 documented cases of pigeons passing
Wow.
off disease to a human. And
That's
again,
it.
it'd virtually take you being Buddy from that one Hey Arnold episode. You know what else I found out? Pigeons don't really spill sugar honey iced tea while flying. They 100% can, but since that could involve hitting their own feet, they prefer to do it on a perch. So
Huh.
it turns out the dirtiest thing about pigeons is the way we've done them.
Yeah.
Which
Wow.
actually sucks because once I started to work past my pigeon prejudice, I realized, I can't believe I'm about to say this, pigeons are low-key broken, like they're mad talented for no reason. Like for example, they're one of the fastest things with wings in the world.
And they're smart.
Pigeons can fly at averages of 60
Usually.
miles
Keep
per hour, but can
moving.
peak out at nearly 100. There have even been stories of pigeons triggering speed cameras in streets.
Ah.
We don't really notice because one of their biggest ops also happens to be the fastest thing alive,
Knocked
which is
him
how they
out.
can get packed up by a 200-mile-per-hour fountain punch. But pigeons still have the juice to dodge a peregrine and live to talk about it. Put it this way, the fastest thing on Earth hunts pigeons, and even that's not a total mismatch. And a good reason is another superpower we don't talk about.
Okay.
Their eyes. The only real self-defense pigeons practice is the power of foresight. So if they don't see danger coming, or worse, don't recognize it, they
You
just get
dumb
bullied.
bitch.
Bro, he
But
got
pigeons have
dogged.
340-degree vision and can even see wavelengths of light invisible to us.
Oh, that's
They're
cool.
so busted that the US Navy once upon a time tried using the chicken of the city to conduct search and rescue missions out in the ocean.
That's dope.
Basically, they trained a couple pigeons to recognize random
Yeah.
red or orange objects, you know, the colors you'd expect from a life jacket, and then press, or more like peck, on a switch on site. In test runs, the pigeons noticed the target 90% of the time.
Wow.
Completely outclassing the human rescue crew, who just barely pulled off 40%.
Whoa!
Then there's the fact that the pigeons could remain vigilant for hours without falling off.
Right.
So you're telling me if I get lost at sea, send a pigeon. Don't send the U.S. Navy.
I mean, don't send me. I wear glasses. if there's a really bad glare, you might just die out there. I don't know.
You're telling me I'm not getting found because I feel like we don't use this system
That
anymore.
feels like that
So,
should work really, really well. Though pigeon training seems like it's so easy,
Yeah.
and they would definitely come back. There's nowhere else for them to go out
From
there.
what I've heard, pigeons are very intelligent, so it's not hard to train them.
Yeah. So that actually seems like that would be a real life use.
Unfortunately, the experiment was cut short due to budget cuts, and every pigeon involved getting killed during a crash landing.
Damn.
But even this experiment showcased another pigeon flex. They're way smarter than they get credit for. They probably would if they could talk like parrots or ravens.
That shit's still fucking cool.
But even with a brain in the weight class of a walnut, pigeons can still surprise us. Trained pigeons can actually pass the mirror test, the same one most dogs and cats fail. In 1995, a study found that pigeons could be taught to tell the difference between a Picasso painting and Monet. I'm not gonna lie to you, I myself can't do that. To a similar beat, pigeons could be trained to tell apart malignant breast tumors from the benign. And yeah, we're still talking about a bird here. A German study in 1990 found that the avian overachievers could successfully memorize 725 different black and white patterns and correctly identify the 100 patterns associated with a reward. Pigeons also have an ability to count that rivals primates. Bro, tell me why folks found out that the Bane of Broadway can read. So what scientists did, right, they taught these pigeons a bunch of words and would either show a real word on screen or a misspelt one to go with a star. If it was an actual word like, for example, dog, they had to peck at the word. And if it was some nonsense like ugged, the rules were to peck at the star. Get it right and they'd win food. Tell me why the feathery assault on your windshield actually did better than the baboons that took the same test. It was at this moment I went from highly impressed to low-key concerned with how smart pigeons are. There's like 5 million of them in NYC. We're cooked if they turn on us. Here's a couple other pigeon facts I picked up. That thing they'll do where they'll fly around in a circle in a synchronized group, that has a name and it's called murmuration. The best theory for why they do this is as a predator response, because their honest to God best defense is just making it harder to be singled out. That weird, crusty looking bump on their beaks is called the operculum, and it's really only there to cover the nostrils. And like a middle-aged hairline, it slowly starts to disappear as they get older. Pigeons are also monogamous, and one of the minority of birds that take till death seriously. That's probably why you've never seen a baby pigeon. Parents supervise them virtually 24/7 until they look like the urbanite we're used to. Pigeons are as loyal as birds get. So it's no surprise they've had success in the military. This is Cher Ami, one of the many homing pigeons used by the US during World War I. And in 1918, over 500 men got pinned behind enemy lines with no food, water, or ammunition. Their only option was releasing carrier pigeons begging for support, but the surrounding Germans peeped game and started lighting up any pigeon that tried. And that included Cher Ami, who got shot out of the air, but like a goddamn phoenix managed to get back up. Against every force of nature, the plucky pigeon made it back to base, traveling a smooth 25 miles in 25 minutes to deliver the message that would end up saving the remaining 194 men. And he did it half blind with a bullet wound and a leg hanging on by a literal thread. The bird, whose name means my dear friend past tense, later the next year, but would be forever immortalized in the Smithsonian as the MVP of the 77th Infantry.
Is that like his actual body?
I think it's his actual corpse.
You taxidermied him?
He said, good job, man. Beep. And stuff him. Beep.
Oh my God.
Kind of cool.
Let him rest.
He is.
Let him sleep.
Yeah, so we can see him.
G.I. Joe was a homing pigeon who came in clutch when he delivered a message calling off an airstrike of a village that the British had already regained control of from the Germans. If G.I. Joe didn't basically score at the buzzer, at least 1,000 soldiers would have been turned into ashes. And then there was William of Orange, who traveled 250 miles in just over 4 hours to request air support after the radio sets had failed. Turned out he was the air support, and William's carry job saved about 2,000 men. He would be one of the 32 pigeons to earn the Dickin Award.
I love it.
Which was basically like a finals MVP but for animals. Somehow pigeons went from war heroes to people actively trying to wipe them out. We really stayed doing our troops wrong. But I think it's safe to say, I was wrong. I was not familiar with their game. You won't catch me moving like this guy, but I'll definitely respect them. Just from a reasonable distance. And that's the most character development you're gonna get. Drink water, hug your loved, tell a pigeon you appreciate them, and I'ma see y'all in the next one.
All right.
That's cute. What is happening here?
He talking about the pigeon from the beginning. He didn't die from that iconic clip of them trying to run him over. He just ducked.
I'm glad.
Pigeons are G's. Well, I hope that made you rethink how awful it is that I knew most of that and I still hate pigeons. Because I don't like them.
Here's my thing with
have
pigeons, right? As long as they stay away from me, I'm fine. You know, be a pigeon, but just don't be a pigeon around me. You know, like stop shoving it in my face.
Once you've been overrun by pigeons, like in your city, they are a nuisance.
Yeah.
And it's our fault. You give people an object to hate, we will hate it and not question otherwise.
Yeah.
An authority figure told me that I trust and love. I will kill it.
I don't mind pigeons, right?
Okay.
Stop shitting on my car. There's so many other places you could shit. Also, when I was being homeschooled, right, I worked in a room at the front of my house.
Right.
And there were these pigeons that would nest just under like the eaves by my front door. So I, every day, for hours a day, would just hear them cooing. And my dad couldn't hear them because he was in his room in the back of the house with his door closed. Like, I was unsupervised while I was homeschooled. And I kept, like, I can't concentrate. I can't, like, they're so loud. And my dad had no clue what I was talking about. And then finally one day he's like, oh, I didn't know it was like this. And then the next day he finally, like, called pest control. But it was for, like, years. But I did know that they were really smart, which is why when I tell them shut the fuck up, I expect them to listen.
Anyways, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave your reaction requests and recommendations down in the comments below. And other than that, peace out, Hope Biscuits. It's Skittenlit.